Well, this is going to be a short video. That's all I'm going to say. Pakistan draw with Australia in the first test match. It was the return of cricket to Pakistan, the return of test cricket to Pakistan. Australia making their first trip in like 20, 30, 40, 50s, however many years you want to say. No, it's 28 years, I think it was. And they came with an action-packed, full-strength side, right? Coming into Pakistan, excitement galore. And I hate to say it, but the first test match was a little bit disappointing. And the reason why is because it wasn't one sided at all. It was actually pretty even, but even in the sense that it was just a run fest for both teams. Runs galore. Australia only took 4 wickets in the whole test match. Pakistan managed to bowl Australia out, which I thought was a pretty impressive feat given how flat the track was. There was a bit of turn on day one. We thought, okay, it's going to break up even more, and we're going to see a raging turner. And interestingly, Pakistan don't normally tend to have these types of pitches or prepare these types of pitches. Normally, there's a little bit in it, a little bit more in it, anyways, for the seamers. We kind of see these pitches more in India and Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, because they really do capitalize on the spinners they have sometimes to a bit of a cheeky degree, but home advantage is home advantage. And Pakistan prepared a pitch, probably also taking into account the fact that Hassan Ali and Fahim Ashraf were injured, not available. Those were two big blows, to be honest with you. And yeah, in the end, only went with 2 quicks, which probably then gave you an idea of what the pitch was going to play like. In Nassim Shah and Shaheen Afridi, potentially 4 spinners to utilize it. Iftikhar Ahmed, Norman, Sajid Khan, Noman Ali, Iftikhar Ahmed, and you can get 1 spinner out of Abdul Shafiq, Babar, Azam, Imam Haq, Azhar Ali, Fawad Alam. Like all of them can bowl a little bit. So I classify all 5 of them into one bowler, which is your 4th spinner. But it was an interesting test match. I'm going to bring up the scorecard so you guys can have a look as well. It was just one of those test matches where it was fantastic just to see cricket back in Pakistan, in Rawalpindi as well. It could have been a lot better. It could have been a lot better, I think, if Pakistan had a full strength side. Then the pitch would have been prepared slightly differently. I think, I think it was probably meant to become a rating turner, but for some reason didn't quite break up the way it was supposed to. Australia, though, showed pretty good application with the bat, but this wasn't really a big test either, because the pitch was just so benign. I think Steve Smith saying it was a really benign pitch, and he, similar to I think everyone else, thought, yeah, it's going to break up. It just never did, and it just stayed a flat track. The type, as I said, that sometimes you see in Pakistan, but not very often. It's normally in India, and it kind of reminds me of some of those test matches between Pakistan and India, where you'd see scores of 600, 700 in declarations, and then it'd just be drawn, right? Because Pakistan and India will prepare those types of pitches and had, at the time, 2 incredible batting units. India had, Dravid, Tendulkar, Ganguly, Sehwag, and Pakistan had Inzamam ul Haq, Mohammad Yusuf, Yunus Khan. Shahid Afridi at the time as well was really good actually at the top as well. Syed Anwar. I mean, we had some phenomenal players, as did India, in terms of batting wise, especially. And there were some big totals, and this was kind of in the same ilk. There's not a huge amount to talk about, honestly, but we'll go through the scorecard, and then I think really what this does is whet the appetite for the next 2 matches, because now it's okay, it's a draw. My prediction of Pakistan 3-0 is out the window. To be fair, I was a bit worried after the injuries. I thought, oh, you know what? If the pitches are going to be like how we normally see pitches in Robin the Act, then Australia, with their pace attack, will definitely have some success. So, if you're an Australian fan, I wouldn't be too worried about the fact that you went with only 1 spinner. I think, to be honest with you, going forward, they probably need a second spinner as well. But I wouldn't restrict themselves in the bowling department from the fast bowling department, sorry, even, because I don't think the next 2 pitches are going to be like this pitch. Most likely, and I'm hoping Hassan Ali and Fahim will be fit, and I think Pakistan will look to prep a pitch. It won't be so seam friendly because, to be honest with you, Australia probably have the best seam attack in the world in Test cricket. That's my read on it. The only thing they might do is Australia, if it is going to be slightly flatter, or similarly flat, or even anywhere to this degree, I think they might bring in Scott Bolland Who he replaces remains to be seen. It could be someone like Mitchell Stark. Could even be they could gamble and drop, say, for example, Cam Green, who's all rounder in there, and then say, well, okay, we're just going to gamble and play the extra bowler. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, first innings, a really impressive knock by Imam Al Haq, who I've been waving the flag for a very long time. I think he's obviously a very good ODI player. There's always been criticism levied at him about slow strike rate, blah, 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 blah. He scores runs. He averages like 50 in ODI cricket. So let's just put that to bed. Fakhar Zaman as well, the other end, averages 50 and he goes at a much quicker rate. So it just evens out nicely, right? It's complementary opening pair. In Test cricket, though, he has flattered the deceived. He hasn't scored a single 100 or hadn't scored a single 100 before this Test match. He managed to score 157 in the first innings. Yes, it was a flat deck, but he still needs to score the runs. And Abdullah Shafiq looked good whilst he was in, 44 for him. He would have been disappointed not to get past that 50-plus mark. Azhar Ali, though, with another really good knock. Some people were saying it was slightly slow. I mean, a strike rate of 50 is pretty good. I mean, 185 from 361 balls is not bad. 3 6s as well. So I don't know. I just think people criticize when they want to, and I understand it is a flat deck, but you also don't want to just suddenly start changing a game because it's a flat, like completely because it's a flat deck. And next thing you know, you actually get a score that's on par, and that's not ideal as well. So I think there's a couple of ways to look at it. Babar Azam, though, I think will be the most disappointed person in this whole Test match. He's the only one really not to get anything from it. Abdullah Shafiq in the second innings got 100. Imam Al got another 100. Azhar Ali obviously 185. Rizwan behind the stumps. Perfect Iftikhar Ahmed as well. Two little not outs. Babar Azam, though, 36 looking good and just didn't cash in. Run out by Labuschagne, and this seems to be a regular theme. We talk a lot about Virat Kohli not scoring 100 in any format for since I think it was like the start of 2020 or since 2020. To be honest with you, it's a similar story. A similar story for Babar Azam. Not the same, because he has scored hundreds in T20 cricket and ODI cricket. But in Test match cricket, he struggled a lot. I don't think he scored one since February 2021, I want to say. And that was against Bangladesh. He is a little because there's two reasons. The first is because he's just so good in the white ball formats. I mean, he's a number one player in ODIs and T20s at the moment, rankings wise. I know rankings don't always reflect how good or a player is at times. It's a weird system, but I think for him it does. He is, in my opinion, anyway, the best white ball player around. In terms of Test match cricket, he really should be scoring bucket loads of runs. He has that technique. He has the mental fortitude. It's just, I think there has been slight lapses in concentration, kind of wafting at ones out wide. I do think he has slightly, ever so slightly, just tweaked his technique in the white ball format so that he doesn't have to get his front foot across all the way when driving through the offside. You know, we used to see those classic cover drives, like the best cover drive, in my opinion, in cricket. He still does have that, especially in Test match cricket. In ODI cricket, we see it as well. T20s, though, especially, he tends to not actually move his front foot across at all, and he's almost like a wristy cover drive, whereas before it was a get my front foot across, punch that through the offside. Beautiful shape. Now in Test match cricket, I'm just wondering whether that slight tweak, it's quite hard to just snap out of it. I mean, he's just played a whole PSL. He's then come into here. He would have had a bit of time to prepare a bit more because of Karachi losing early, but that would have been a big shame. So let's see. But I think he'll be looking for more runs. He's the captain, needs to stand up and be counted for. And look, it's not the end of the world. It's not like he got a dunk or single digits, but you know, it was a really good track to get runs on. Bowling wise, I mean, there's no point in going through it, to be honest with you. They only picked up 3 wickets with the ball 1 run out in the field. Rizwan Iftikhar with a couple of not outs, 476 for 4 declared. Australia came in, and Usman Khawaja, his return to Pakistan, obviously born here and lived, and kind of part of his childhood was here I say here as if I'm in Pakistan, I'm in the UK, but was in Pakistan as well. obviously ended up going to Australia and representing them, and he's been, for me, one of their best bats in probably about 10 years, I would say. That's how good he has been. I think he's been very underrated, hasn't maybe got the type of run of games that he deserves. And now he's starting to get that in the twilight of his career. And he's having an Indian summer, that's for sure. 97 of 159, and he looked really good. Got out in a really bizarre way, trying to reverse sweep Naman Ali. Warner, good runs for him, 68, and Labuschagne, 90. Again, as I said, it's a flat track. So 90, 78 for Smith. Head will be looking at the other saying it's quite a hard track to battle on, lads. But with that single digit score, I mean, he'll be really disappointed with that. And Green with 48. So good to see him get some runs. I mean, that's been one of the things missing. He scored a lot of runs in the Sheffield Shield, but hasn't quite been able to replicate that on a consistent basis for Australia as of late anyway. But he's still in the infancy of his test career. And with the ball, he's been very, very good. Generally, I think, in his test career so far. If you do want to check out a bit more on Alex Carey, there is a video. It's actually on Usher's channel, Cricket for Us 2.0. It's a Future Stars of Cricket series that myself and him are doing, and we talk in depth about Cameron Green and about what we think he brings to the table and how good he could potentially become. Alex Carey, again, will be a bit disappointed. He got a beauty though. Naseem Shah coming around the wicket, angling in towards Alex Carey, just seamed away, top of all stump, beautiful delivery, beaten for pace, complete, and just movement. Stark, 13 for him, Cummins 8, Lyon 3, and then Hazelwood with a nice little running curve, but it won't help his average as he didn't get any runs and didn't face a ball either. In terms of bowling wise, look at that 6 for Naman Ali. I mean, he's been so good, a revelation, I think, for Pakistan so late in his career, making his debut, but he's so steady and consistent, and he tends to just get wickets every single game. I don't remember many. I don't actually remember any matches where he hasn't picked up wickets and more than like 2 in an inning. So he's just been that good. Naseem a bit expensive, but he's young, and to be honest, he wouldn't have been expected to play at the time. He wasn't even in the main squad. He got called up because of injuries. Now, I think they're going to have to hope that other people come in. He's such a great talent. Again, we did also a Future Sides of Cricket. It's on this channel. Do check it out. It was myself and Usher about Naseem Shah. And he's going to be a phenomenal player, I think. And we're already seeing glimpses of that. But I think we need to look after him. And I think he's only playing because of injuries to other players. So hopefully he gets a bit of a rest in the next one. Or if he does play, it's a more seam-friendly pitch for him to have a bit more success on. Pakistan then, obviously, they already had a slight lead of 17, but came into second innings. And by that time, though, on day 5, it really was just a case of, well, they could have approached it one of two ways. They could have said, okay, let's try and go T20 mode. But could have backfired, though. They could have been bowled out. Who knows? I mean, I know it's so flat, but they could have been bowled out for like 100, and then Australia could have potentially chased it down on day 5. I think they could have been slightly quicker with the way they batted, but I think maybe Babar would have said, look, it's a really dead pitch. We're not going to be able to bowl them out in half a day. Just, bat basically and enjoy yourselves, I think would have been what he would have said. So 136 for Abdullah Shafiq, 111 for Imam al-Haq. A first test 100 for Abdullah Shafiq, really, really impressive. Imam al-Haq going back to back, he will be happy with that. That will definitely cement his place in this side for the rest of the test series for sure. I have absolutely no doubt about that. Sharmasu will feel a bit unlucky to have missed out, by the way. He's also a really, really good player. Stark here as well. Look at how many bowlers they tried to use. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Quadri even got a bowl. So 9, apart from, so the only people that didn't bowl was the keeper, Alex Carey, and David Warner. That is hilarious. What a great use of your bowlers, or lack of. So yeah, in the end though, a very, very interesting test match, very flat. Yes, fantastic to see some runs being scored. Hopefully we see a bit more of a spicier pitch anyway in the second test match. But look, a draw, even Stevens, we don't want to see a one-sided test match. This definitely wasn't that. So I'd rather this than a one-sided one. But now let's see a really competitive one come the second and third test matches. It's definitely whetted the appetite. We can see what everyone's about. People have got some runs under their belt. Now, the bowlers will definitely come into their own, you'd imagine, for the rest of the series. Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Please remember to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. If you are watching on one of our podcast platforms and do also, or listening on one of our podcast platforms, please do remember to follow us, subscribe, all that good stuff. And on top of that, do click the notification bell, do share the channel with others as well. And I'm looking forward to the next test match. Let me know your thoughts as well on this test match. What do you think? What was good? What was bad? How do you think the rest of the series is going to go? What's your prediction? And do you see major changes to either team? Thank you very much, guys. Stay safe and well.